The global military balance faces its most significant shift since World War II as China emerges as a dominant force capable of challenging Russia's traditional military might. Recent military assessments reveal that a potential war with China and Russia could reshape the entire geopolitical landscape of Asia. China's rapid military modernization, combined with Russia's ongoing engagement in Ukraine, has created an unprecedented strategic scenario. Military analysts worldwide are carefully examining whether China could invade Russia, considering the complex dynamics at play. The possibility of a Russia-China war has become a serious topic of discussion in international security circles, particularly given China's expanding military capabilities and territorial interests. This comprehensive analysis examines the military, economic, and strategic factors that suggest China's readiness for potential territorial expansion into Russian territories, while considering the nuclear deterrence and technological warfare aspects that would influence such a conflict. Recent military assessments reveal a significant disparity between Chinese and Russian armed forces, highlighting China's emerging position as the world's second-largest military power. The People's Liberation Army, PLA, maintains approximately 2 million active-duty personnel, substantially surpassing Russia's 1.5 million troops. China's growing military superiority is evident not only in its force structure, but also in its advanced technological capabilities and modernization efforts. While the People's Liberation Army has fewer tanks than Russia, 4,657, compared to Russia's 14,777, it makes up for this numerical disparity with superior technological integration and more advanced battlefield systems. This strategic advantage allows China to maintain a highly efficient and modern fighting force despite lower raw numbers in certain areas. China's military advantage is further bolstered by its massive defense budget, which stands at an impressive $831.7 billion, dwarfing Russia's comparatively modest $109 billion. This financial edge has enabled China to rapidly expand and modernize its military, equipping its forces with state-of-the-art weaponry and technologies. The People's Liberation Army's ability to outspend Russia on defense has translated into a significant lead in terms of personnel and equipment across multiple domains. About military asset, China also outperforms Russia. In terms of active military personnel, China commands a force of 2 million soldiers, outnumbering Russia's 1.5 million. The People's Liberation Army also leads in air and naval power, boasting 1,854 combat aircraft, compared to Russia's 809 in a naval fleet, prizing 781 vessels to Russia's 472. Notably, China's fleet includes 75 destroyers, a stark contrast to Russia's 14. These figures highlight the scale of China's investments in building a military capable of projecting power far beyond its borders, signaling its ambition to assert dominance on the global stage. China's technological edge in military capabilities is evident across several critical domains, showcasing its ability to outpace many global competitors, including Russia, in cutting-edge warfare systems. One significant area of superiority lies in its missile defense technology. While China has incorporated imported systems like the Russians' 400 into its arsenal, it has also developed highly advanced indigenous missile defense systems that go beyond the capabilities of the S-400. These advancements not only strengthen China's defensive posture, but also enhance its ability to counter high-precision threats effectively. China's dominance extends into space-based technologies, a sphere where it has achieved remarkable milestones that far surpass Russia's current capabilities. Its fully operational space station demonstrates a high level of technological sophistication and serves as a platform for advanced scientific and military experiments. Additionally, China has developed advanced anti-satellite (assert) weapons capable of targeting satellites at higher altitudes, providing it with a strategic advantage in controlling the increasingly contested domain of space. These capabilities give China the potential to disrupt or neutralize adversary satellite networks, a critical factor in modern warfare. Furthermore, China's Air Force exemplifies its technological modernization with the deployment of up to 200 J-25th-generation stealth fighters. These advanced aircraft represent a significant leap in China's ability to conduct aerial operations with superior stealth, agility, and combat capabilities. The J-20 fleet positions China as a formidable force in air dominance, rivaling the capabilities of Western and Russian advanced fighter aircraft. Through these technological advancements, China not only solidifies its military superiority but also underscores its commitment to achieving strategic dominance across all domains of modern warfare. The People's Liberation Army's strategic advantages extend beyond conventional forces. China's naval capabilities now exceed Russia's, with 781 vessels compared to Russia's 472. In the aerospace domain, China maintains 1,854 fighter aircraft against Russia's 809, representing a significant advantage in air superiority potential. China's military modernization program has yielded particular success in cyber warfare capabilities. While both nations possess significant cyber capabilities, China's hardware capabilities surpass Russia's. The People's Liberation Army's Strategic Support Force has demonstrated advanced electronic warfare systems and space-based assets that outmatch Russian equivalents. Recent military cooperation between the two nations has revealed China's technological edge, with Russia increasingly dependent on Chinese semiconductors and military components. This technological disparity has become more pronounced since 2022, with China supplying critical dual-use components to Russia through complex networks of shell companies. The territorial tensions between China and Russia stem from a complex history of border disputes and land cessions dating back to the 19th century. These historical grievances continue to influence modern geopolitical dynamics and could potentially trigger a Russian-China war. The foundation of current territorial disputes traces back to the unequal treaties imposed on China by Imperial Russia. The 1858 Treaty of Agon and the 1860 Convention of Peking resulted in China ceding approximately 350,000 square miles, 910,000 square kilometers, of territory to Russia. These agreements fundamentally altered the region's power dynamics, with Russia gaining control of vital areas in what is now known as Outer Manchuria. Historical treaties. Treaty of Agon, 1858, transferred territories north of the Amur River to Russia. Convention of Peking, 1860, ceded modern Primorsky Krai and southern Khabarovsk Krai, and Treaty of Tarbagadai, 1864, established western border sections. Current territorial tensions center on several key areas, with Bolshoye-Ussuriysky Island emerging as a focal point of contention. The island, spanning 300 square kilometers, remains partially disputed despite a 2004 agreement dividing it between the two nations. Recent developments have shown China's increasing assertiveness, with their 2023 standard map claiming additional territories beyond agreed boundaries. The disputed regions extend beyond single locations, encompassing primary territory stretching from the Amur River to the Stanovoy Mountains, Pacific Coast region, extending to the Korean border and strategic river islands along the Amur and Ussuri rivers. Chinese historical perspectives view these territories as integral parts of Greater China, with many Chinese nationalists maintaining that Russia should return Vladivostok and the vast territories acquired in the 19th century. This sentiment is reflected in recent Chinese territorial assertions, with Beijing's history of territorial claims extending from the South China Sea to the Russian Far East. The territorial disputes reached a critical point in 1969, when both nations engaged in armed conflicts along the Ussuri River, bringing them to the brink of nuclear war. While subsequent agreements have attempted to resolve these issues, including the 1991 Sino-Soviet Border Agreement and the 2004 Complementary Agreement, underlying tensions persist. China's recent territorial assertions, including the 2023 map controversy, suggest that historical claims remain active in Chinese strategic thinking. These historical disputes and cultural claims provide context for potential future conflicts, as China could leverage these unresolved territorial issues in any future war with Russia. The combination of historical grievances, strategic interests, and China's growing military capabilities creates a complex backdrop for current tensions between these two powers. China's potential invasion of Russia gains strategic significance as Moscow faces unprecedented military and economic challenges. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has created multiple vulnerabilities that could be exploited in a potential Russia-China war. Russia's military capabilities have been severely depleted by the Ukraine conflict, with estimated losses reaching 615,000 personnel. The Russian armed forces are losing approximately 1,000 troops daily, creating significant gaps in their defensive capabilities. Their military focus remains heavily concentrated on the Ukrainian front, where they maintain approximately 470,000 troops, leaving other regions potentially vulnerable to external threats. Russia's defense infrastructure is increasingly showing severe signs of decline, marked by significant equipment losses, resource shortages, and decaying infrastructure. Since February 2022, Russia has suffered the loss of an estimated 8,800 armored vehicles, a substantial blow to its ground forces' operational capabilities. This depletion of military assets has placed immense pressure on Russia's defense industry to replenish its stock, a task it has struggled to achieve due to production and supply chain constraints. One of the most pressing challenges facing Russia is its inability to produce sufficient ammunition to meet the demands of prolonged military engagements. For example, the production of 152mm artillery rounds, a critical component of its ground warfare strategy, is projected to reach only 1.3 million rounds in 2024. This shortfall severely limits Russia's artillery capabilities, reducing its ability to sustain high-intensity combat operations. The shortage underscores deeper issues within Russia's defense manufacturing sector, which has been hampered by international sanctions and logistical inefficiencies. Adding to these challenges is the broader decay of Russia's critical infrastructure, with an estimated 70% of municipal facilities suffering from neglect and disrepair. This widespread deterioration not only affects civilian life but also undermines the country's ability to support and sustain its military-industrial complex, which relies heavily on functional infrastructure for logistics and production. Complicating matters further is Russia's growing dependence on Chinese components to maintain its military production. With international sanctions cutting off access to Western technology, China has become an indispensable supplier for Russia. Key components sourced from China include microelectronics essential for advanced military systems, engines for drones and turbojets, and sophisticated military optics and satellite technologies. This reliance on Chinese imports exposes a critical vulnerability in Russia's defense capabilities, as it highlights the country's diminishing self-sufficiency and its increasing dependence on a geopolitical partner that may not always align with its strategic interests. Russia's geographic vulnerabilities have intensified due to several factors. Stretched defense line: Russia is burdened by a 1,000-kilometer front in Ukraine, requiring significant resources to maintain. Resource allocation issues: Russia has suffered a 20% loss of military equipment in the Black Sea region, further straining its capabilities. Border security weaknesses: Russia's military presence along the Chinese border has been weakened, leaving it vulnerable in this critical area. These vulnerabilities are compounded by Russia's economic constraints, with military wages creating unsustainable financial pressure. Recruits receive up to 2 million rubles in sign-up bonuses, straining the defense budget and creating economic instability. China's strategic advantage is further enhanced by Russia's increasing dependence on Chinese economic support, particularly in circumventing Western sanctions. The combination of these factors presents China with unprecedented strategic advantages for potential military action. Russia's military focus on Ukraine has created a significant power vacuum along its eastern borders, while its weakened infrastructure and geographic vulnerabilities provide multiple potential invasion routes. These circumstances have created what military analysts consider a unique window of opportunity for Chinese territorial expansion. The economic incentives for a potential Russia-China war center on Russia's vast natural resources and strategic infrastructure, which could significantly enhance China's global economic position. The resource-rich territories, particularly in Russia's Far East, present compelling economic motivations for territorial expansion. Russia's vast natural resource wealth, accounting for over 20% of global reserves, positions it as a critical player in the global commodities market and a potential target for resource-driven strategies. These resources encompass a broad spectrum of strategic assets essential to energy production, industrial development, and technological advancement. Notably, Russia holds 32% of the world's natural gas reserves, a cornerstone of its economic and geopolitical influence. Additionally, the country is home to expansive coal deposits spread across 22 basins and 115 fields, reinforcing its status as a leading energy provider. Beyond energy, Russia's wealth extends to a diverse range of metal ores, including significant reserves of iron, nickel, copper, and aluminum, all of which are vital for global manufacturing and infrastructure development. Rare earth elements and precious metals, crucial for advanced technologies and high-demand industries, further bolster Russia's resource significance. The Russian Far East stands out as a particularly resource-rich region, containing substantial deposits of diamonds, gold, and polymetals. These assets underscore the region's importance, not only for Russia's domestic economy but also for international players seeking access to critical resources. China has taken a keen interest in tapping into Russia's resource wealth, evident through its increasing investments in key sectors. This partnership has resulted in bilateral trade reaching an impressive $240 billion in 2023, a figure reflecting the depth of economic integration and China's strategic focus on securing long-term resource supplies. This growing collaboration highlights the geopolitical importance of Russia's natural resources and their potential to shape global power dynamics. The creation of strategic trade corridors has become a cornerstone of China's drive for economic expansion, with the Northern Sea Route emerging as a particularly valuable asset. This Arctic shipping route offers significant advantages over traditional pathways, including a transit time of just 23 days compared to 37 days via the Suez Canal, making it a more efficient option for connecting Asia with Europe. Additionally, the Northern Sea Route provides direct access to the Arctic Stunties, further enhancing its strategic importance for energy and resource security. China's interest in the Northern Sea Route has grown steadily, viewing it as the most efficient maritime link to northern Russian and European ports. The route aligns seamlessly with China's long-term vision of diversifying trade networks and reducing dependence on Western-dominated corridors. By investing in the development and use of the Northern Sea Route, China not only shortens transit times for its goods but also strengthens its influence in global trade while establishing a foothold in Arctic geopolitics. Russia's industrial infrastructure presents significant economic opportunities, particularly in the Far East region. The territory features 29 seaports connecting Asia to Europe, extensive railway networks with higher density than other regions, and major development projects including the Northern Latitudinal Passage. China's strategic interest in Russian infrastructure is evidenced by its increasing involvement in development projects. The Haya-Blagoveshchensk Bridge and Tongjiang-Nizhny-Leninskoye Railway Bridge completions demonstrate China's commitment to enhancing cross-border infrastructure. The economic potential is further amplified by Russia's current infrastructure investment needs, estimated at $1 trillion by 2020. China's position as Russia's largest trading partner and primary supplier of industrial goods positions it advantageously to capitalize on these opportunities through potential territorial expansion. Military analysts worldwide are closely examining the readiness levels of both Chinese and Russian forces as tensions between the two powers evolve. Recent assessments reveal significant developments in China's military capabilities while highlighting persistent challenges in their preparedness for potential conflict. The People's Liberation Army's modernization efforts face both achievements and setbacks. Recent investigations have revealed corruption-related removals of 15 high-ranking military officers and defense industry executives between July and December 2023. These investigations have potentially disrupted China's progress toward its 2027 modernization goals. Key modernization challenges include commander proficiency deficiencies in operational decision-making, training system inadequacies affecting combat readiness, and integration challenges with new technologies and weapon systems. The disparity in combat experience between Chinese and Russian forces is a notable factor in assessing their military readiness. The People's Liberation Army has not participated in major combat operations since the Sino-Vietnam War of 1979, leaving a gap in its real-world battlefield experience. In contrast, Russian forces have been extensively tested in recent conflicts, particularly in Syria and Ukraine, where they have gained valuable insights into modern warfare's complexities and challenges. While China boasts a fully professional force, Russia relies on a mix of conscripts and professional soldiers, with only 30 to 40% of its forces being fully professional. China compensates for its lack of combat experience with large-scale training exercises designed to simulate modern combat scenarios, whereas Russia's exercises vary in scale and intensity. China's logistics capabilities reflect both strengths and vulnerabilities. The People's Liberation Army has developed an advanced logistical framework through its Joint Logistics Support Force, JALS, focusing on enhancing efficiency at strategic and campaign levels. It employs sophisticated multimodal transportation systems, including rail, air, and sea, to move forces and deploy equipment efficiently. Despite these advancements, China faces significant challenges in certain critical areas. Long-distance logistics operations remain a notable weakness, limiting the People's Liberation Army's ability to sustain prolonged campaigns far from its borders. Additionally, its urban warfare capabilities are underdeveloped, raising concerns about its effectiveness in complex urban combat environments. Another critical issue lies within the People's Liberation Army's command structure, which struggles with the so-called 5 incapables. These include difficulties in accurately evaluating battlefield situations, understanding the intent of higher authorities, making sound operational decisions, effectively deploying forces, and responding to unexpected developments. The People's Liberation Army's self-assessment reflects genuine anxieties about its military preparedness for actual combat. Despite massive investments in modernization, the Department of Defense reports that China uses phrases like "too big gaps" to highlight enduring concerns about its true fighting capabilities. Recent organizational reforms demonstrate China's commitment to addressing these challenges. The disestablishment of the Strategic Support Force in April 2024 and the reassignment of its subordinate forces directly under the Central Military Commission represent efforts to enhance command and control capabilities. Additionally, the transfer of 300 fighter aircraft and maritime strike bombers between services indicates ongoing optimization of force structure. These developments suggest that while China possesses significant military capabilities, its readiness for large-scale conflict faces substantial hurdles. The combination of corruption investigations, lack of combat experience, and logistics challenges presents complex obstacles to China's military ambitions, even as it continues to advance its modernization goals. The prospect of a Russia-China war has prompted diverse international responses, with global powers carefully positioning themselves for potential regional destabilization. International reaction patterns reveal complex diplomatic and economic considerations that could shape the conflict's trajectory. The European Union and NATO members have demonstrated unified opposition to any military aggression that threatens international order. The EU has committed approximately €800 million in non-lethal aid support, while NATO coordinates the delivery of military assistance, accounting for 99% of all military aid to affected regions. Key Western responses include the implementation of comprehensive sanctions frameworks, enhancement of regional defense capabilities, development of alternative supply chains, and strengthening of diplomatic alliances. Southeast Asian nations are navigating a delicate and complex balancing act when it comes to positioning themselves in the context of potential conflicts, particularly those involving major global powers. The member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, have responded to these challenges in varied ways, largely shaped by their economic relationships with both the West and China. Many of these nations strive to maintain a neutral stance, carefully managing their diplomatic and economic ties with both powers to avoid taking sides. However, this neutrality is not without its complications, as the influence of economic dependencies often determines the extent of their alignment with either power. The Philippines, in particular, stands out as a potential exception to this trend. Due to its strategic geographical location and growing security concerns, the Philippines has shown a stronger willingness to align with Western positions, despite the country's historical ties to China. This shift is driven by the perceived need to strengthen its defense capabilities in the face of regional security threats, particularly concerning its maritime interests in the South China Sea, where it has ongoing territorial disputes with China. The Philippines' decisions are therefore closely intertwined with its security priorities, which increasingly align with the interests of Western powers. In broader terms, several key factors influence the regional responses of ASEAN countries to the evolving geopolitical situation. Economic dependencies play a significant role, as trade relationships with both China and the West deeply impact a country's stance on global conflicts. Nations with heavy trade ties to China, for example, may be more inclined to maintain a neutral or pro-China position, while those with closer economic ties to the West may lean toward supporting Western policies. Security alliances also heavily influence these decisions, as defense partnerships with countries like the United States or China can dictate how a nation responds to potential conflict, particularly in areas like military cooperation and joint defense efforts. Finally, territorial interests, especially those concerning maritime claims in the South China Sea, heavily shape the responses of ASEAN states. Countries with competing territorial claims are often more vocal in advocating for international laws and norms, while others may be more cautious, aiming to avoid further escalation. These interwoven factors create a multifaceted landscape in which Southeast Asian nations must navigate complex geopolitical dynamics. The economic implications of a Russian-China war would extend far beyond the immediate conflict zone. Global markets have already demonstrated sensitivity to regional tensions, with commodity prices experiencing significant volatility. The conflict's impact on international trade has accelerated the development of alternative financial systems, challenging traditional dollar dominance. This leads to the disruption of global supply chains, particularly affecting the semiconductor and technology sectors, acceleration of deglobalization trends, potentially causing long-term inflation pressures, and development of parallel economic structures less vulnerable to Western sanctions. The international community's response has been further complicated by China's role as a critical trading partner for both Western and Asian nations. Trade statistics reveal China's exports to ASEAN $523.70 billion, EU, $501.20 billion, and US, $500.30 billion, demonstrate the complex economic interdependencies affecting international responses. Recent developments show increasing coordination between China and Russia in challenging Western-dominated financial systems. The establishment of alternative payment mechanisms and the expansion of bilateral trade, reaching $180.30 billion in the first 9 months of 2024, indicates a growing economic alignment that could complicate international response options. The global response scenario is further influenced by China's strategic approach to international institutions. Through organizations like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, and BRICS, China has been actively building support for alternative international frameworks, potentially affecting the cohesion of international responses to any future conflict. Nuclear weapons play a pivotal role in shaping the strategic dynamics between China and Russia, with both nations maintaining substantial arsenals that could determine the outcome of any potential conflict. The nuclear equation has shifted dramatically as China rapidly expands its nuclear capabilities, while Russia maintains the world's largest arsenal. The current nuclear balance reveals Russia's numerical superiority with approximately 5,580 nuclear warheads, while China possesses roughly 500 operational warheads. However, China's arsenal is expanding at an unprecedented rate, with projections indicating it will exceed 1,000 warheads by 2030. This rapid growth has altered traditional deterrence calculations between the two powers. The strategic nuclear balance between Russia and China involves several key components of their nuclear arsenals, which include intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs, and strategic bomber forces. These elements form the backbone of each nation's nuclear deterrent, allowing them to project power and maintain the capability to strike adversaries with devastating force across vast distances. While both nations have modernized their nuclear capabilities, their strategic arsenals differ significantly in size and composition. In terms of overall nuclear assets, Russia holds a substantial advantage. Russia, with an estimated 5,580 total warheads, far outpacing China's 500. China currently possesses 500 total warheads. It only has 24 deployed strategic warheads, significantly fewer than Russia's 1,710. However, China's nuclear modernization program is advancing quickly, and its strategic focus is shifting toward increasing the number of its deployed warheads. By 2030, China is projected to have over 1,000 nuclear warheads, a considerable increase from its current stockpile. The contrast in nuclear capabilities between Russia and China reflects broader differences in military doctrine, geopolitical objectives, and defense strategies. While Russia maintains a large, diversified nuclear arsenal that includes a mix of land-based, submarine-launched, and air-delivered weapons, China is focused on rapidly modernizing its nuclear forces, primarily through the expansion of its land-based missile systems and enhancing its nuclear deterrence posture. Both nations, however, continue to play a critical role in shaping global nuclear dynamics and the ongoing discussions around arms control and non-proliferation. Tactical nuclear weapons present a critical dimension in potential conflict scenarios. Russia maintains approximately 1,912 non-strategic nuclear warheads, while China has focused on developing precise, lower-yield weapons for regional deterrence. The tactical nuclear balance is particularly significant as China has constructed hundreds of new missile silos to boost its rapid nuclear counterattack capability. Recent developments indicate China might have, for the first time, put some nuclear weapons on high operational alert. This shift represents a significant change in China's traditional nuclear posture and could influence potential conflict scenarios. The possibility of nuclear first use remains a critical consideration in any Russia-China war scenario. China maintains a no first use policy, while Russia has recently modified its nuclear doctrine to consider direct support from nuclear powers to third countries as potential nuclear provocation. The risk of nuclear escalation is complicated by several factors. Firstly, China's development of ICBMs is capable of threatening conventional strikes against continental targets. The second is Russia's deployment of tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. And finally, the presence of approximately 300 new ICBM silos in China. The strategic stability between these powers is further influenced by China's rapid nuclear modernization program, which has exceeded previous projections. The Pentagon's assessment indicates that China's nuclear expansion will dwarf previous attempts in both scale and complexity. Recent analysis suggests that nuclear superiority becomes correlated with failure during crises when the gap between adversaries becomes larger. In scenarios where one side possessed at least 18 times as many nuclear weapons as the other, the less powerful state successfully deterred its adversary 82% of the time. The nuclear deterrence dynamic is further complicated by China's relationship with Russia, potentially shaping Beijing's decision-making calculus on nuclear first use. This relationship, combined with China's expanding nuclear capabilities and Russia's aggressive nuclear posturing, creates a complex web of deterrence relationships that could influence the trajectory of any potential conflict between these powers. Technological warfare capabilities have emerged as a critical factor in determining the outcome of any potential Russia-China war, with both nations investing heavily in advanced military technologies. Recent assessments reveal China's growing technological edge over Russia, particularly in cyber operations, space-based assets, and electronic warfare systems. China's cyber warfare capabilities have advanced significantly, with the People's Liberation Army developing comprehensive systems for both offensive and defensive operations. The Department of Defense reports that China aims to use new doctrine, technology, and civilian expertise integration to surpass U.S. military superiority. Their strategy emphasizes systems warfare, involving contests between highly integrated systems including logistics, surveillance, and communications. China's cyber capabilities include advanced information manipulation systems, subversive operations against adversary leaders, comprehensive cognitive warfare programs, and AI-enabled computerized wargames. Recent developments show China and Russia increasing collaboration in sensitive technological domains, including artificial intelligence and quantum computing. In February 2024, officials from both nations met regarding military AI applications. However, this cooperation masks underlying competition, with China having conducted at least 21 cases of espionage and hacking to steal Russian military technology during the last 2 decades. The space domain highlights China's clear technological superiority over Russia, as evidenced by its significant advancements across multiple areas. In terms of satellite networks, China currently deploys 970 military satellites, showcasing a robust capability to monitor and control space assets for both strategic and tactical purposes. This extensive satellite infrastructure gives China a marked advantage in space-based surveillance, communications, and reconnaissance. Additionally, China has developed advanced anti-satellite systems, which include cutting-edge targeting capabilities designed to disrupt or neutralize adversary space assets. Furthermore, China is planning to establish a permanent research base in space, a move that reflects its long-term commitment to expanding its space-based infrastructure and further consolidating its position as a global leader in space technology. While China and Russia have made joint announcements about their plans to build an automated nuclear reactor on the Moon by 2035, their space cooperation appears to be more competitive than collaborative. The two nations have shared ambitions in space exploration, but their relationship is marked by signs of strategic rivalry. China has been accused of repeatedly acquiring Russian aerospace technologies, with several instances of Russian researchers allegedly passing sensitive aerospace research materials to China between 2021 and 2023. These incidents highlight the tension in their space collaboration, where China seems to gain technological insights from Russia, potentially undermining the spirit of partnership between the two nations. This growing technological divide further underscores China's dominance in space, leaving Russia to play a more secondary role in the global space race. Electronic warfare capabilities present a significant challenge to modern military operations, according to the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission. China's electronic warfare systems can detect, target, and disrupt advanced technologies, with capabilities including advanced jamming systems for GPS and satellite communications, sophisticated electronic protection measures, and integrated cyber-electronic warfare platforms. The People's Liberation Army has conducted various exercises to prepare for Yi-Do operations, including anti-jamming drills in January 2024. Their capabilities have expanded through the successful performance test of domestically built electronic warfare drones in 2022. Meanwhile, Russia's electronic warfare capabilities, while significant, have shown limitations in recent conflicts, with their R-330 Zechalitel jammers' effectiveness limited to tens of kilometers for disrupting GPS and satellite communications. China's technological superiority is further evidenced by Russia's growing dependence on Chinese semiconductors that power military drones and tanks. This dependency has increased since international sanctions against Russia, rendering the Russian defense industry particularly reliant on China for advanced machine tools valuable for defense manufacturing. The technological warfare landscape is further complicated by China's doctrine of informatization and intelligentization, which guides their military modernization. This approach focuses on information technology for precision targeting and disrupting adversary command and control systems while incorporating artificial intelligence, autonomous weapons, and brain-controlled weapons to enhance warfare complexity. China has likely surpassed both Russia and the United States in employing modeling, simulation, and opposition forces in training scenarios. Military analysis reveals China's unprecedented position to challenge Russian territorial sovereignty through superior military capabilities, technological advantages, and strategic opportunities. Russia's engagement in Ukraine, combined with its weakened defense infrastructure and depleted forces, creates vulnerabilities along its eastern borders. Chinese military modernization, despite readiness challenges, demonstrates significant advantages in force numbers, naval assets, and technological warfare capabilities. Strategic considerations extend beyond military factors. Historical territorial disputes dating back to 19th century land cessions provide potential justification for Chinese expansion, while economic motivations center on access to vast natural resources and strategic trade routes. Nuclear deterrence remains a critical factor, with China's rapidly expanding arsenal reshaping traditional power dynamics despite Russia's numerical superiority. Global response patterns suggest complex international reactions as nations balance economic interdependencies against security concerns. China's technological edge, particularly in cyber warfare, space-based assets, and electronic warfare systems, positions it advantageously against Russian military capabilities. These factors collectively indicate a significant shift in the military balance between these nuclear powers, potentially reshaping Asian geopolitics and global security dynamics for decades to come. But what will happen if China decides to move beyond strategic posturing and challenges Russian territorial integrity? How would global powers respond to such a bold move? Would alliances shift? And how might smaller nations in the region adjust their policies? Please share your thoughts in the video comments section. Thanks for watching.